Welcome back everybody to Orange Track Outlaws. Today we are going to resurrect this Matchbox Mustang GT-350. Just can't help it. When I saw this car, I'm a sucker for Mustangs, and this thing looked like actually a pretty cool casting, and I think I can do something pretty fun with it. So had to try it. So here we are. I do got some new stripes for it. I'm gonna get a nice new white paint job, fix the chrome, do a wheel swap, kind of give this thing a good once over, give it the works here, and hopefully it turns out like the sweet looking Mustang I know it can be. So we're going to dive right into this guy. So here comes our project here, our little Mustang on our custom hauler. This thing's all beat up and wrecked up, paint's all fading, chrome's all come off the motor, the motor's loose, wheels are crooked, the chrome's off the wheels are pretty plain too, base is all got some chip paint on it. So this guy here, it's gonna kind of need the works all the way around, and just about every aspect of this car is gonna need touched and fixed. But luckily, it's not gonna be a real tough job, but should be a fun one. So first things first, as usual, we're going to drill our posts out here and take our car apart and see what we got to work with. So as usual, take my little drill bit, start a pilot hole, get the bigger drill bit, about 1/8, and buzz the little head off the post. It doesn't take a whole lot. You want to make sure you don't go too deep in there, too deep on the post. Got to leave a little bit of something there to bite into after you put it back together. But nice and easy. Buzz them things off. Get your little screwdriver here. Peel it apart. And see what we got to work with. I don't do too many matchboxes, so things are similar but different. You can see our body here. It's overall in good shape, other than paint's just chipped and faded. We got a little bit of a rivet here to get the engine out, and there really isn't much to it. That thing was real wobbly, like you saw in the opener. So we're gonna get that thing buzzed off, knocked out, and there we go. Now we're gonna see what we got here. Chassis is kind of different. It's got this little support on the inside that holds the axles in. I guess it's for suspension. I don't think it's the best design, but it'll work. The windshield's old and faded, gonna need a little bit of work. We got our baby blue interior, which kind of like. I think we might keep that, but off to the sandblast box. First things first here, to get that all that old ratty paint off there. And since this car was so old and half it was chipped off anyway, it's going to take no time at all in the blast box to get it off there. Give us a nice fresh surface to do whatever we want to do with it. So as you can see here, just a minute or two in the blast box, that paint come right off. No big deal. We're also gonna put the chassis in there as well, and up there, get ready for some fresh paint. Now we're gonna go ahead and get into getting all that blast box residue off there. So we're gonna wire wheel this thing here, nice and easy. Get it looking good, and once we get through getting all that extra residue off there down to our bare metal, we'll be able to see how our body actually is, and see if we need to do anything else before we prep it for paint. Hopefully everything turns out okay. So we're just going to keep at it here, keeping our wire wheel not super high speed, just medium speed on the Dremel here and get all the nooks and crannies cleaned up. Make sure the engine bay is all nice and cleaned up. I like to do all the inside as well, just so the paint has something better to stick to. I like doing all that. And just knock it out here and take a look at what we got here. Overall, it's in pretty good shape. There's a little bit of pitting. It's kind of old, but that's okay. We're going to layer on some white Stynylrez Res primer on this car, so we're going to lay it on pretty thick here later in a couple coats, so hopefully it'll fill in some of that pitting and make it look nice and smooth. But first coat of primer here, nice and light tack coat. You want somewhat full coverage, but it's going to look pretty transparent, but that's okay. Just make sure you get everything covered pretty good, and then you can go back and start layering up. So you can see first coat is looking white. Next coat here, we're going to check out what we got here. We're going to move on to our color. We're going to go with pearl white, kind of like how it was original. I'm going to throw some hot rod sparkle in there to hopefully give that pearl a little more pop. We're going to add the 4030 like usual and the 4012 from Createx, and get it mixed up, and we're going to start layering our base coat on there. Same as the primer, nice and light, as even as possible. First coat, make sure you get everything covered nice and neat, and then after that you can start layering on. But since our base coat was white, it's not going to take, we might do 2 or 3 coats here, but it's not going to take much to get our pearl paint on there as thick as we want. But we're just going to work it on here nice and slow. It's looking pretty good. We'll go with one more coat here. Actually, on these base coats, I think 3 is probably a good minimum, if not more. But since the white on white, you can really get a good look. Kind of hard to see from this angle and in the light, but you can definitely tell the pearls in there. You can see some of the hot rod sparkle too, so I'm happy with it. So one more coat here. Won't hurt a bit. You can actually say more the merrier, but there's a good look at some of our pearl paint. You can kind of see it there in that angle. There you go. Get it a little closer and get the focus right. It looks pretty good. I went ahead and detailed some of it out already. I got the bumpers, the lights, the headlights, grill insert. I got that all painted. That's all tedious work. Did that off camera. I do have some racing stripes left over from some other projects. So they're not as wide as the stock blue ones, but I think that's okay because I thought those were they were a little goofy. And then the tempos on the side, they had that real big GT-350. I wasn't a big fan of that, so I like this little rocker panel strip I got. I think these are gonna look real good. And since it is a race car, I'm gonna add some special numbers on here at the end, make it more fitting. So putting the tampos on, it's pretty cut and dry. There's been videos about it, but you just set them in some warm water for not very long, 10 to 30 seconds, and you can pull it out and it should separate from the back pretty easy. Do the best you can, and get all the bubbles out and get it stuck nice and flat. And I find it's the easiest to use a Q-tip, lightly dampened. Just kind of press on it and get all that extra water worked off there, and get it as flat and straight as possible, and you should be okay. So same thing, other side. We're gonna put our little our GT-350 rocker panel decal on there. I think it'll look more proportionate than that. The other decal is real big. So this should, I think this is gonna look like a much better car here when we're done. Really liking how it's turning out there. Seems to fit real nice, and time to move on. We're gonna work on our racing stripes here. I don't think I'm gonna go like all the way down the rear, in the front of the grill, like a lot of the white on blue GT350s have it. I'm just gonna go basically hood to trunk and leave it to the top. But you see how much skinnier, you know, these stripes are than the stock ones. My opinion, much better. So far so good. This build is has been a pretty easy one, a pretty basic one. Really, probably the toughest and I guess most tedious part would be applying these decals. Other than that, it was a pretty easy paint job. We'll get to the wheel swap here, but that was actually pretty easy given the I guess it's the unique way of mounting the axles inside the chassis that this car had. They really just kind of popped in there and gave it a little bit of suspension. It does seem a little squishy when we get to it. You'll see, but I guess if I had my routers, I probably could have put the axle tubes in and then glued the axles in the tubes like most of the other videos, but I wanted to keep it as stock as possible and what it had. So we're gonna keep trucking along here and putting our racing stripes on. We got our hood figured out and it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty straight. So we're gonna add the roof stripes, and then we're gonna add the trunk stripes and see how it looks. I think I'll be pretty happy with it. While I'm putting the stickers on, I would like to, you know, thank you guys again for checking out my videos. I appreciate you taking the time. You know, seeing the builds I do and some of the work I put in here. You guys that also do this, you know how much time it takes, and it can be a pain and real time consuming. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the projects that I'm doing. I know I end up being pretty proud of them, so you know, I hope you guys really like it. And if you do, if you're not subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and click the bell so it'll notify you of any new posts, any new projects I got. And for all you guys waiting for some new races, just hold tight. I got a handful of races in the queue here. I think they're going to be pretty fun, and I think a couple of them I really haven't seen out there on YouTube much, so be patient, wait for those. So here you go, guys. Here's a little closer look at the racing stripes here. I finished going across the top. It all looks pretty straight. I think it looks really good. Big fan of the white Mustang with the blue stripes. So now we're gonna do we're gonna add a couple racing numbers to this thing. I know the original one didn't have it, but you know, since this car's got the open hood with the big motor sticking out, it just looks like a race car to me. That's what I get out of it. So I'm gonna add a couple racing numbers here. You guys that know me, you know what number's going on here. 24, that's my number. That's what's going on my car. So luckily enough, the little racing stripe kit I had, which was for a Mustang actually, had all the numbers on it, which I'm sure I'll be using some numbers in some later builds. And you know, it had these racing stripes that fit real nice. So once we get these numbers put on here nice and straight and centered, we'll be able to move to the other side, do the same thing, and then we'll be able to move on to our wheels. For all you guys, while we're talking about race cars here, for all you guys that like race car movies and stuff, I got a couple builds coming up that involve some race car builds. I think you guys might enjoy it. I'm sure you all seen Days of Thunder. I got some of that coming. As far as some other Burt Reynolds racing movies, so keep a good lookout for that. Those should be some fun ones. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to our wheels. If you watch the last video, you'll see this these set of wheels I got here. They come with these little, they're basically like little tap-on hubs. They're pretty small, kind of difficult and tedious to get them things tapped on there, but once you do, they seem to stay on quite nice. These wheels are from another set from Scuderia, which I found on eBay. Should be able to find them on there. I bought a handful of sets from them, and they look actually pretty good. And if you don't like the way these axles mount, they're still the same size as the standard Hot Wheels axles. You can put those in there. They'll work just fine. If you want to cut axle tubes and glue them in, that should work just fine. But these guys here, I cut them down. I'm going to use these hubs that they came with. I'm going to tap them in there, and we'll be able to stick them in this little chassis system this car has. I guess it's the suspension system. But I did have to glue that thing in when it's all said and done to keep it in place. Because if you push down on the car, those wheels will just push that little bracket off its posts, and it won't sit right. So you'll see here in a minute what I'm talking about. And after we finish putting these little, I don't know what you call these things, little hub stoppers on there to keep the wheels on. So once we tap these things on here, they're real small, so you got to get them on just straight, because if not, you'll tap on them and they could crack or bend. They are little pieces of plastic, but as long as you're straight on, a couple taps and they'll go on fine. There you go. You can get a good look. These seem to be okay. This one here, I did get a little crooked and it started pushing the side out, so I'm gonna kind of deburr it. But here's a look at our brace for our suspension, and really these axles, they just kind of snap in there. I guess it's I don't know, this must be something Matchbox did. Like I said, I'm not a Matchbox person. I don't know when they really did and what these were for, but it snaps in actually pretty easy. And there's two posts there in the chassis that you had to drill out. So once those go on there, I'm just gonna put a little super glue on them posts and let that dry, so everything stays in place. And when we're ready for final assembly, so we're gonna go ahead and super glue these in. I've been using this Fiber Fix super glue, which has been working out really well here lately. Big fan of it. Big reason why is it comes with a UV light in the backside that hardens the super glue much faster. I was using the activator, which I still have and I still use, but this UV light activator seems to be a lot less messy. You don't get that white residue after the super glue dries. So I might actually stick with this for a little while here, and been happy with the results so far. So you see, I didn't have it on there but for 30 seconds or so, and that glue's hard already. And this we got ourselves a rolling chassis, and those wheels should be just fine. They shouldn't pop out at all. Light pressure like a normal suspension. So here we have our car. It's fresh from our clear coat. We put our normal I can't remember, I did it off camera, but it was at least I think it was 3 coats of the 2K clear, and that thing looks pretty sweet. I did re-chrome the engine. I did try to buff out the windshield. I did that a handful of times, and it just didn't quite turn out how I wanted it, and I kind of got fed up with it. But like I said earlier, when I took the car apart, it's got the baby blue interior. I didn't want to change that. I really kind of like it. Gave it the old school look on the inside, so I just cleaned it up with some soap and water and put it back in there. And I know you guys watching here are seeing me put this car back together, and I forgot to put the engine in. And that's going to take its own screw underneath before I put the chassis on. But I guess for the sake of the video, you get a look here what it's actually going to look like. I put the other screw in, and you'll be able to get a good visual on the car. And I'll just have to screw that engine in. But this thing looks night and day from when we started. A really cool classic Mustang, in my opinion. It's actually the only one I have that looks like it, just like this. I did go with some nice new some 5-star Real Rider rims. Those things look pretty sweet in my opinion. Get a good look at the base there. I did put gloss black on that and clear coated that, so that thing looks cool. But before the reveal, we're going to take a look here what we started with. And this is our Matchbox Mustang GT-350. As you can see here, it's seen much better days. It's all beat up, paint's scratched off, faded, chrome engine's all beat up, wheels are terrible, but we happened to fix all that, and it's all gone. And here's a look at our finished product. Like I said earlier, night and day difference. The wheels are sweet, paint job I think is sweet, the racing stripes are more appropriate, re-chrome the engine. Real happy with this, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and appreciate you watching. If you like what you see and you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, and share the video if you would like to share it with a buddy, and hit that bell for some new so you can know when I drop some new videos. And I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks again.